Call the August 23rd school committee meeting, convening at 6:35. We had an executive session, however, there were no votes taken in executive session. Would you all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance and a moment of silence? Thank you. First order of business is approval of minutes, the open session, special meeting on July 26th. Motion made, seconded. Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We had an executive session, special meeting also on July 26th.
Motion made with appropriate sections of Rhode Island law.
Motion made, second. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We have no correspondence. No one has signed up for public comment. Chair will entertain a motion for the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions on the consent agenda? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 8, Superintendent's Report. Mr. Goho.
Thank you, Dr. Pilata, members of the committee. On the agenda tonight, you'll see item B. One of the tasks that we have before us is to formally approve the schematic design submission to the RIDE School Building Authority for the upcoming elementary schools project. It has been recommended by the building committee that this be approved by the school committee. However, before I ask you to do that, we've invited Studio Jade, our architect, to deliver a presentation for you so that you know what that plan looks like. So, Mr. Conte and your team, the floor is yours. Oh, Chris Spiegel, also from left field. I should have remembered that, Chris, that you were here. At 6:30. Okay, gents.
Yeah, I'll just give a good evening, everyone. Before we dive into the presentation, I like to give a quick 5-minute just to reinforce some ideas about this submission that I want you guys to all be aware of. You're going to be seeing some rendering tonight. You're going to be seeing some floor plans tonight. This is a part of a schematic design submission. So what you're seeing tonight is in no way what the final buildings will look like. There are still a lot of decisions that need to be made. As you'll see from the presentation, we have not 100% completed all the visioning yet with all the stakeholders, your teachers, your department chairs, things like that. So I don't want you to get too caught up on some of the more finer details of the presentation today. We still have a long time that we're working through to hammer out some of those details. The schematic design submission that we're submitting today to RIDE is really to help align our costs with what our budget is, as well as to align programmatic spaces with what the district needs as to what RIDE is looking for as well. So please don't get too caught up on colors or where the parking spots are, things like that. There's time to work through those. If we have any recommendations from the school building committee, we'll do that. And thank you very much for your time.
So good evening, everyone. Joining me is Kathy Ellithorpe with the SLAM Collaborative. And since this is our first time presenting to you, I want you to make sure you understand why you see two of us here. So Studio Jade is the managing architect and the architect of record for Wayland. And Kathy Ellithorpe and the SLAM Collaborative is the architect of record for Centerdale and Greystone. And Studio Jade is the engineer of record for all three schools. So we're working collaboratively on this, and I think it's going very well. So I wanted you to know why you'll always see two of us here. Very brief agenda. We want to give you an update on the project, and Chris will talk about next steps. So the work that we've completed to date, as Chris has mentioned, we're about 85% done our interviews and programming. We've had good meetings with the teachers and the administration and the maintenance. We're going to still meet with the facilities and food service. About our 85% complete our educational specifications, which have guided the designs thus far. As you may have seen, we've started our geotechnical investigation on the sites, and we will be scheduling a meeting to review the schematic design with the fire, police, and building departments. One thing that I want you to know is that we've developed some commonalities among all three projects that you should be aware of. So they are all single-story buildings. They are all new construction on the existing sites, which means that students and staff will remain on site during construction. There are benefits to that as well as some challenges. It's going to require some planning and some logistical considerations, coordination between the school department and the town, certainly discussions with the construction manager, who is Demio. The goal is to have equity and parity with Olney and McGuire with our three new schools. Some of the features that they have include separate physical education and cafeteria spaces, which is much different than what they have now. We have multiple small group instruction rooms, dedicated spaces for special education, and of course high-performance building systems that will improve indoor air quality, technology, and security. And to the greatest extent possible, we're going to try to improve vehicular and pedestrian circulation at all of the sites. I'll quickly present Waylon and then turn it over to Kathy. The red dot is where the main entrance to the school is. The new construction is far to the right of the site, and where we have preliminarily proposed the parking is where the existing school is. This new school is going to be within, at its closest point, about 25 feet away from the existing school. That's why it's going to require a lot of logistics. In general, we've tried to maximize the parking. We've created a bus lane where we could get the buses off of the street. This site in particular is very congested. We're trying to make some improvements there. We're also looking at possibly moving the parking lot closer to Mineral Springs Avenue, but that is still in development. The floor plan of the building has some major components that is consistent amongst all three, so let me point them out now. The red dot identifies the entrance. The dark blue is administration. The teal is dining. Green is physical education. Yellow is the academic wings. The salmon color is special education, as well as those small breakout spaces that we have identified. And then the orange is the media center. The vertical bar of classrooms is grades K through 2, or K through 3, and then 4 and 5 are in the horizontal bar along the bottom, 2 classrooms per grade. We tried to keep it as concise as possible. This is a conceptual rendering of the entrance of Waylon. To the right, you see the buses, which are at a lower elevation. This site does slope from left to right, so we're looking to take the high part on the left, cut it, and move it to the right and fill in there to create our level building plate.
Just real quick, and the reason that we're always looking for economies of scale and ways to save money on this project, and the reason that we're doing that is to save money. If you would have to pay for fill that you take off the site to go out. So by keeping it on site and by using it to our advantage, we save money. And then just one other thing I want to say about all three schools, Kathy and Phil are also working incredibly close together to make sure that the systems specified and the materials that they're using building the buildings are the same across all three schools. So we have that economy as well of scale as well. That helps Jimmy out and his team with maintenance as well. It also creates that level of equity that we're trying to create across all three schools as well.
Along that note, Phil, you had mentioned that all three buildings are going to be one level, correct?
Correct. Yes. 1 story, 1 level.
And again, we're looking at cost savings on that. If we don't have to have a basement, we don't have to dig into the ground and potentially uncover unsuitable soils, or ledge is very common throughout this area, which would require drilling or maybe even blasting. And also, no elevators. Elevators are incredibly expensive. They're incredibly expensive to maintain. So if we can reduce your operating budget so far with that school, that's something that we're going to try.
So it's nice to see you all again, those of you who remember me from the first 2 elementary schools. So we're really excited to be working with Phil and the Studio J team on these three new schools. And again, very similar in concept. We all three have that sort of U-shaped, horseshoe-shaped scheme to them. In this case, the existing building is farther up to the top right-hand side. We've got a lot more space. Phil took the harder site, and he's got a lot more constraints on how he can circulate and where he can build than these two properties do. So at Centradale, we're going to bring the cars in from the top. I think that's Angel Street at the top. And we'll have a nice long queuing line. They'll come in and drop off near the red dot, which again is the front entranceway. And then the buses can come in off of South, forgot what the south one's called, Brookside, thank you. So the bus loop and the car loop can maintain their own areas and not have to cross. We do have a little connection in case a vehicle needs to get through, but the intent would be to keep the buses and the cars separate. And then this school is the smaller of the two that we're working on. The Greystone School has all of the pre-K as well as one additional intensive academic space. Thank you, Phil. Again, the colors are all the same colors that you saw before, so there's consistency in understanding the plans. We have the kindergarten through third grade in the wing that's on the right. Fourth and fifth graders get to have their own wing. They're the bigger kids. They can have some autonomy over on that side. And in this particular arrangement, we've got the green space, which is the gym up towards the top, which actually looks out towards the athletic fields, the cafeteria and serving area right in the heart of the building, and our media center, the salmon color, is the larger space off to the left with some continuity between those two sort of central core spaces. And a rendering. This one we do have the hill to deal with. So we will be sitting ourselves up on top of the hill and working. We've got a couple of sets of stairs to get up there, and then it's not really, it is a ramp, but it's not a ramp that needs railings and such. We can gently swoop our way over towards the buses and get up the side over there. So off to the right-hand side of this would be where the play areas would be. And if we go to Greystone, again, we have the advantage of being able to bring the cars and the buses on site, but in this case, they're actually on two separate sides of the building. You have the opportunity for a shorter or a longer queuing line, depending upon how you would like to structure the cars coming in on site. The darker gray line, if you want to really get them off site and off the streets rather, and bring them on, you can do that. If not, if it works better to keep them in a shorter line, that works as well, with the buses on the right-hand side. And we have this connecting pedestrian walk so that kids getting off the bus, our understanding is that the staff prefers that the students all come and gather and go in the front doors after they've been out on playgrounds and such. So we wanted to make sure we had a really good wide circulation path to achieve that. And then as we get inside, again, here we've got pre-K and then kindergarten through 5. So the pre-K wing is the lower wing. So pre-K, K, 1 and 2 are living down there, and then 3, 4, and 5 in the upper wing. This building also has one additional intensive academic classroom, which are the slightly lighter yellow classrooms that you see there. But again, the same circulation in the building, the same amenities and parity. And then a rendering of what we anticipate this building to be. This one does not have the hill, so it's, oops, I'm dropping the laptop. So it does not have the stairs and the ramps to deal with. But again, you know, a nice wide site to deal with. So.
So throughout this visioning process, we've spent a lot of time looking at the traffic, or I should probably say how bad the traffic is at pickup and drop off around these schools. So the architects, we asked them to be incredibly thoughtful about how we bring on the buses and bring on the cars and get as many of them off the street as possible in these queue lines. And I think they did a good job showing you that in these drawings.
You want to talk about next steps, or?
Sure. So next steps, we're looking to submit our schematic design submission to RIDE the week of September 4th. Submissions turnaround is generally about 3 to 4 weeks. They will come back to us. They will have a list of questions or a list of things that they would like us to look at. It's common. There's no reflection on the quality of work. They are being stewards of taxpayer money, just as this committee is. So they want to make sure they have a lot of questions to answer. We are doing cost estimating with our construction manager. We do have third-party cost estimates, and the last time I spoke to this group, I believe I said that we are within striking distance in this very tough construction market of getting to where we need to go. Dimeo will come on board, and Dimeo will team up as they've already been engaged, and they will look at the drawings. They will look at other ways of saving monies or staging the work so that we can continue to keep the project on budget. I will say this, and I want to be honest with this group. It is a very difficult construction environment. We will, at some point in this project, have to look at the buildings and see what are our needs, what are our wants, so we can bring the projects in on budget. Right now, we are in good shape, but I do not want to leave this committee with sort of a false assumption that we're going to get absolutely 100% everything that we want. There's going to have to be some compromises in order to get these projects done, and I want to be upfront and honest with this group about that. Early procurement and scheduling. We have been very successful with early procurement on the high school administration buildings. Things that we would like to procure early would be HVAC equipment, which has 7 months, 8 months lead time. Electrical transformers, we're looking at a year and a half for some of these electrical components. So we've been looking to this committee and the school building committee to give us permission, the school building committee specifically to give us permission to go out and procure those items ahead of time. And then, of course, design development, we will continue meeting with teachers, meeting with the administration, going over our plans, meeting with the school building committee. We plan on presenting all of these plans to the town council as well to make sure that we have their feedback as well. And then as we get a little bit further in the design process, that's when you will start to see us really engaging with, Ralph over on police communications, other people like that, to make sure that what we're designing seamlessly moves into what your building management systems and your emergency response systems and things like that.
A couple of points I just want to make and add to that for the committee. Regarding enrollment, people have asked me, what are we looking at regarding enrollment? And our latest NESDEC enrollment, which I know you used in the plan of these buildings, shows for the next decade a stable enrollment, plus or minus 1% for the next 10 years. So that's very positive. All of the buildings, at least at this point, it's planned that they will have an additional approximately 10,000 square feet in addition to what they currently have.
So yeah, you're on average, your buildings are 27% bigger than they currently are now.
And then the other thing is there's going to be cost savings to the budget in another way. We currently have 4 pre-K classrooms at Greystone, 1 at Centerdale. So the design of Greystone will incorporate all of the pre-K classrooms. So the entire pre-K program will be housed at Greystone, which is going to save on our transportation budget.
And I do also want to make sure I make this point too. Currently in our budget, we have a very healthy contingency. We have over $10 million that we've set aside specifically for health and safety projects. And we heard from this group and the school building committee that the priority is the elementary schools. We don't want to touch that money. Right now we aren't, but that is available to us. And we've also, I'm happy to report, that we are currently about $2 million under budget for the high school administration building. So that is additional money that if that project remains on budget, we keep everything going as great as it is now, that money can be transferred either into the elementary school project or to cover some of those health and safety projects like the skylights and other things that we've been talking about.
Anyone have any questions?
Just a comment. Dimeo is just finishing up Garden City School in Cranston.
Yes.
That's a much bigger school. Were you personally involved in any of that?
No. So the OPM for Garden City is Jacobs.
Okay.
No. Oh yeah, we were involved in bringing Dimeo on board. Yes. So we had so for the we sent out an RFP, a qualifications-based RFP with pricing. We actually had a great response. 7 contractors returned bids to us. ONG Industry, and you had them from all over. ONG Industries from Connecticut, Daniel O'Connell's and Sons from Western Massachusetts. You had all your local, your Gilbanes, your Jimmyos, your Shawmut's, things like that. But what that said to us was not only is this a great project that people want to do, but it also said to us that the budget is pretty well aligned too, because you wouldn't get 7 contractors, I don't think, bidding if the project was so under budgeted.
Not if they were going to eat the.
Yeah, no, they're smarter than that. They don't want to throw their money after, throw their time after a project that's not looking fortuitous.
Okay, thank you very much for the update.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you.
So at this time, I would ask the committee for a motion to approve the schematic design submission to the Rhode Island Department of Education School Building Authority.
Motion to approve.
Motion made, seconded. Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Okay, next item, I'm going to ask for one motion to approve the handbooks that are listed as we do yearly if there are changes to them. They've all been provided to the committee, very minor changes. And I will also say we did receive back a report from the Equity Institute, and we've begun to look at their recommendations, and the changes that were incorporated in some of the handbooks came directly from that report as well. So I would ask for one motion to approve the North Providence High School Course of Study, Elementary Handbook, Middle School Handbook, North Providence High School Handbook, P-TECH Handbook, and the Coaches Handbook.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item, Mrs. Seitzinger, Assistant Superintendent's Report.
Oh, hold on. Did you say the coach's handbook too? I apologize. Okay, I'll send. There's actually a few errors in the handbook. Sorry for the
You have a
coaches.
question on the coaches?
I thought it was the element. I thought we did all the schools. They're just they're small errors, but there are errors in the coach's handbook.
Okay, so
Okay, maybe,
nothing substantive.
yeah,
Okay.
you can just submit those. Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Pilata, Superintendent Boho, everyone. Nice to see you all. Just really quickly, because I know we have a busy agenda, just the summer learning, you have the update in front of you, but the ESY program went very well this summer, and also the North Providence High School Enrichment Math program was very, very well received. And I have the data there, but there were 88 students in the high school program, and you see the success of that program there, just that 83 students received credit recovery from the high school, and every student increased their score when compared to their pre-test, which was on the ALEX program. So great success there, and we're very grateful to Mrs. Bronco as the coordinator and all of the teachers who participated, and of course our students, and also our special educators and coordinator, Mr. Peters, for the great job on the ESY program as well. So just some data there and some graphs there for you to look at. Also, the AP results are there and attached through the links. I think the main highlight of this is that we increased the number of students taking it. So 138 students took their exams this year, which is up from 109 last year. So 46% of those exams earned a score of 3+, which again signifies a passing level of proficiency. 8 subjects received at least 1 5, and 13 5s were earned by our students this year. So just some other data from Ms. Bazogian, who's the coordinator of that AP assessment. So that's very positive. And of course, we intend to keep looking at that and increasing the number of students who take AP exams and their proficiency. And then this summer, we've been continue to work on curriculum as always. And Mr. Nahigian is helping us to update our website with all of the current links. So we've been working on ELA curriculum across the board, K-12, also not Study Sync, but Wonders and Study Sync, which is ELA, K-12, and Reveal Math is also K-12. We worked on our math curriculum at the elementary level this summer. Amplify Science, we're in really good shape with our curriculum based on our science team working on that over the last end of last year and meeting all year on that. So we feel really positive about the revisions and the constant cycle of revision on our curriculum. Our first PD day will not be for our district. We'll have one in April. However, throughout the year, we have grade level meetings at the elementary level. We have middle school content meetings throughout the year, and we have department meetings at the high school, and we work in tandem together. So there will be things that will be state mandated that need to be done. For example, the Nathan Bruno, Jason Flatt Act for suicide prevention training, and we'll be doing a refresher on that. but also work together as professional learning communities, collaboration, and looking at really what do we need to keep doing to improve our professional learning and student achievement, and helping our teachers in terms of professional practices. We're also continuing the Right to Read training this year. We have 70% of our teachers trained in that, and that's through the Right to Read Act that was passed through the legislation in Rhode Island. Teachers, we don't have to be done with that training until 2026, but we're in really good shape. So we have 70% of our faculty already done. This year we're continuing that training with grades 3 and 4, special educators, multilingual teachers. So we feel really positive about that. And the impact of that training is really about supporting our teachers and supporting students in the science of reading instruction and really honing in on what they need as individuals. So we're super excited about the beginning of the school year, and we feel like we're really ready and excited to begin.
Anyone have any questions or comments? Thank you, Mrs. Seitzinger.
Dr. Plata, one point before you move on, I would just like to introduce our new data director. He's not really new. He's been with us a few months. So we're glad to have him at our school committee meetings. You guys have not met him, David McNally. We are incredibly fortunate to have him. He comes with an extensive background working in the medical field, but extensive background with data and technology. He's worked seamlessly with our tech team and has helped make sure that our data capacity in the district is robust and devising ways to bring inefficiencies to the operation of the district. He's made a tremendous mark just in the few months that he's been here, and I'm glad he's here so that you guys all could meet him. David McNally.
Welcome, Mr. McNally. Next item on the agenda, old business discussion of temporary easement, Stephen only school property. I'm going to speak to that. Mr. Ferroli.
So our building official has some concerns with that project. And my recommendation is to send it back to him until he straightens that out. Then we'll come back.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Pollock.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we table that until we get final approval from the town of North Providence.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any questions on the motion? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Ferroli. Next item on the agenda is new business. Turn that over to Mr. Goho.
Thank you, Dr. Plata. I would request a motion by the school committee to authorize the settlement in the special education matter discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Motion made, second. Questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, items B, C, D, E, F, and G are all contracts and agreements that fall under the auspices of the assistant superintendent, fully funded by our federal funds, our title funds, regarding professional development and support for curriculum and leadership. So I would ask, and there'll be time for questions if you have any, one motion to approve the AIM Pathways Institute for Learning Services Agreement, the EAB Services Agreement, the True North Engagement Contract, Highlander Engagement Contract, New England Base Camp Contract, as submitted. All of those have been vetted as well by our legal department.
Any questions?
I have a question.
Mrs. Picard.
So I might have no problem moving to C. I have no issue with the Ames Pathways, but the EAB Services Agreement, could I have an understanding about those 3 years and how we're going to progress monitor that? What are the updates that we'll see to see that return on investment?
So several years ago, you asked about doing deliverables, which I do with every contract. And
Thank
I do
you.
have that information, of course, and it's really an important point because we want to see the impact. I think it's been a great impact. I can tell you that one of the first years that we had contracted with them was during distance learning. And they had great resources for teachers that we did share in virtual learning. It's all based on current research. And it can be anything that if I need something, if we need something as a district based on our strategic plan or our school improvement goals, we can ask them to research, and it's vetted through the current research, and it's a great organization. It's not just for our administration team, even though we do use it and we do share things. For example, currently they had current research, and I attended a webinar that they had on behavioral, culture and climate, social emotional learning. They're doing great research on attendance. So I'm sharing those things with our admin team, and they offer a lot of resources that can be used as far as school improvement, because obviously those are some of the things that we are focusing on as well. So it's really, to me and to our team, it's been well worth the investment. But I do have those documents if you are interested in seeing that, because we do give them to all of our vendors and our contracts, and they submit what they're expected to deliver and how it's related to what we're connecting it to, and then they do the outcomes at the end of the year. So I have all of those as well.
Yeah, I won't speak for anybody else. I would like to see the deliverables.
Yes,
I think
I can share
I mean,
them.
I don't disagree with the research. I think it's always good, especially if we're going to connect it back to our school improvement plans. I'm just hoping that I would see references, and that we would be sharing those references with the teachers and the
Yes,
parents
those-
on those
They have
Thanks.
been shared and continue to be shared, and we have a meeting tomorrow, and I will be sharing something that webinar I attended on attendance, and anything that I receive, they can, and if you join it, you can go to them at any point to request research if there's a certain, but they look at the whole country and they see nationally what's needed in terms of research.
So right now, I know through the U.S. Department of Education, RIDE is piloting with them to be able to do the research base to align back to the strategic intervention plans in the portal. If once that's supposed to do the same thing, align the tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3 research. If that happens in the same time frame, do we have the ability to stop the contract if it's available for free?
I think that would depend on our needs and how we're using it, but I would say yes, that would depend on what we need.
So I guess, Ben, just a question about that on the contract. Do we have an out clause if RIDE should have the opportunity to give us this information for free? Because they're looking into doing just that with the research base. I just don't want to spend, even if it's federal funds, $20,000 if we're going to get it free. So. No, I can go on to the next one. If that's okay. The Highlander, is the name? If the name change is official, does that impact the contract?
No, I think they put it. They might have changed it then in the contract. I'm not sure, but it's Thorough Line now.
So I would ask that just the motion,
Just the name changes reflect it.
the name change to the official company that we're going to be partnering with.
Which just happened a couple of weeks ago, officially.
I know it was like 2 weeks ago.
But I just want to add that these organizations and really our partners have been really pivotal in terms of the work that we've been doing over the last few years in terms of curriculum implementation, coaching in the classroom as well, in terms of coaching our learning walks. And they've really been great partners. So it's really, from my purview, it's really a continuation of the work we've been doing. It's not just a one and done. It's a relationship that we have with these organizations and partners, and they have been very successful. And our teachers are also connected to them as partners in the work that we're doing. So it's all tying together. It's not just, I don't want people to think it's not connected. And I've through my updates, I have consistently shared the work that we're doing with these partners. So I will definitely continue to do that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to link back the alignment to our student proficiency, along with the way we see increases, even in our module assessments that are in school assessments, not just RICAS or PSAT.
Oh no, they are working on them directly. We are actually working with True North, Highlander, and New England Base Camp. They are helping us revise our assessments and things like that.
Because I think we all know once the federal funds go away, if we need the additional funds, we need to be able to show the progress that we've made, the data that aligns to it, so that it's really easy to see the return on investment. So I just want to make sure we're keeping that line.
Absolutely. And we all meet together too or I meet with all of them with our team as coaches also, so it is connected. But just to be clear, this is paid through Title II, the CRP, not ESSER funds.
Okay, which ones can you just go through which ones? Are they all Title II?
Yes.
Okay, good. And then New England Base Camp contract. Just to clarify, the deliverables, if you're going to send me,
I have it. Yeah, I have that. And I also wanted to share that that's paid through Title II, as well as the comprehensive literacy grant that we've received. It's the 4th year of that grant, and they have been coaches through that grant and been an incredible partner. So we're very, very grateful. They've
Is
worked
it-
with our coaches directly.
If you don't mind, can you send me the Title II alignment that goes with the package, just so I can see how we're divvying up the progress that we align it to?
Yes, I
Just
have
for my
that.
own edification.
And I'll send you I can send you the current deliverables and also the previous ones.
Thank you, Louise. Nice job.
Send it to
Yeah.
everybody.
Mrs. Picard, you mentioned an amendment.
Oh, sorry. When Joe read off the
Why don't we
contracts.
do this first? We need to withdraw the original motion. Made the original motion.
I did. I will draw that.
Withdraw the motion. Who seconded the motion? Okay. So first motion is withdrawn, so we'll make the new motion with the amendment.
Yeah, let me do that. I'll make a motion to approve items B through F, Ames Pathways, the EAB service agreement, True North engagement, Highlander, New England Base Camp. Is that the only one, Joe? But the Highlander is actually, which is to be clear, is now True North. There was a name change within the last couple of weeks.
Okay, so
What is it?
No, True North is separate, but Highlander is now Thorough Line.
Thorough Line.
Yes.
Thank you, Louise.
We can get that correct.
And for the EAB service agreement, is the bid package is not included, just to be able to see
okay.
the bid package for EAB. There's just a letter. It didn't tell us the amount. Thank you.
Okay, is there a second? Second to the motion?
I'll second.
Mr. Andriozzi, okay. Any additional questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request a motion by the committee to approve the local 928 MOA regarding after-school offering of professional development AIM pathways.
Motion made, second. Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item H, I would request approval for the renewal of our contract for the auditory services, which we approved last year and was very successful, and so we'd like to continue with that contract.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Also, our transportation policy has been updated with the heavy involvement of our legal department, so we really do appreciate the work that Ben and Sean did. I would request a motion to approve the revised and updated transportation policy.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request approval by the committee of the submitted bid for athletic training and sports medicine services for our athletes to be on site at athletic contests, but also to treat our students for subsequent injuries and to guide them in the appropriate path. This is a tremendous service for our student athletes. I really thank our athletic director, Mr. Ficcicelli. Also, the awarding bidder is Dennis Lanny, the lowest bidder, and also a graduate of North Providence High School and a successful practice that he runs. So very happy. Thank you for joining us, and I would request that the committee approve this.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made and second. Any questions?
I have one question for Joe.
Mrs. Picard.
Joe, where it says about the 23 budget and starting in 2024 for coverage, does that mean that all sports will be covered? What does that entail?
Yes. So Mr. Ficcicelli put this together. Obviously, the budget that he inherited that was already submitted prior to him becoming athletic director was already submitted by Mr. Williams. So we're working in a limited budget. We're going to try to cover as much as we can, but I can't say that every single sport, every single event will have a trainer on site, but the services will be available to every single team that requires it. And then as we go forward, we'll develop a more robust coverage and usage of the training service with it appropriately budgeted.
So just based on this, my question would be, as we all know, the athletic trainers have been a very hot topic across Interscholastic League and the superintendents because of the level of injuries that we've seen. With our fund balance, is this something we should talk about soon? If we commit funds from our fund balance so we can cover our athletes?
We could certainly do that.
I would like to request an agenda item so that we can look at that coverage. I would be concerned that we're not covering all of the sports, especially the contact.
Yeah, I don't have Mr. Ficcicelli here, so I don't know exactly what his intention is. So with all that, it might very well be. I don't know if
Why don't
Dennis-
we approve the contract, and the next meeting you can make a motion to remove funds from the
Mr. Lanny, oh,
balance
Perfect.
to
Thank
cover
you,
the
Dr.
full
Plata.
cost.
sorry, Mr. Lanny, you have your hand up. I know that you had lots of conversations with finance and with Mr. Fitzgerald. Do you want to offer? Yeah, come on up to the podium.
A few other faces that I know from going at both as my teachers and fellow students. Yeah, the original service was to actually cover everything. And I think when it was asked, when you put out the proposal, I give you something that not just covers the events, but also covers liability. I work for a company called WMI Global, and they subcontract me out and I run venues. So a lot of things you have to think of when you're starting to think of not just the health and well-being of the athletes, but how do you follow up on that? And one of the things in the proposal was working with ALS, working with the fire department, making sure that if a kid is injured, that not just the coaches, but the principal, the superintendent, the athletic director, anyone who's involved with that would also have a potential return to play. He did mention sports, I think, and I could pull it up in a conversation. And I'm not sure which bid is being approved because there were different levels that he had asked for about, but one of them was to cover football, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls lacrosse. That's the one that he has. And then he had another one that added boys and girls basketball. And then the original was for everything. So I don't know if that helps. So it would be the lower one was for football, boys and girls soccer, boys and girls lacrosse. Okay.
Okay, great. So if we could bring it next time, I'd love
Yeah,
to.
okay.
Thank you, Dennis.
The motion on the floor. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Lanning.
Next item on the agenda, I would ask for an approval for the bid of the learning management system. If you have any questions, Mr. McNally is here. That's to help automate our human resources and professional development functions to bring efficiency to those areas. Mr. McNally worked extensively on this to negotiate the lowest bid and a great starting point for us on this, and I would recommend passage.
There's a motion on the floor. Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is I would request the school committee to approve the National Federation of High School Sports broadcasting agreement for athletic events. This is going to allow us, for those of you who are familiar, to broadcast our athletic events both inside the school and on the outside grounds as well for any families who can't make it. There is a small subscription fee. That all goes back to the school and allows us, again, access to telecast those through streaming devices. So this is a great service to our community and also will also enhance our athletic, our ability to have our community view our athletic contests.
So moved.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item on the agenda is I would request the school committee approve the bid for the P-TECH Health Science Certification classes. You are approving the lowest bidder.
Second.
Any questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Next item is I would request approval of removal of the obsolete textbooks from North Providence High School.
So moved.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, approval of bills.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Andriozzi, second by Mrs. Picard. Any questions on bills? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next item, 13, use of property.
So moved.
Questions? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 14, request to address the committee. We have none. Item 15, we have no pending business. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All those in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everyone.